On today's episode, Dad apologizes to his mom.
I made 2 little tweaks to her recipe. I'm sorry, Mom.
Messes up the difference between in and on.
The crushed tomatoes on the pot. Makes no sense.
And really?
Heavy bottom. Ow! Don't touch a hot pan.
Who got this? Dad got this.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Dad Got This. Today, we're going on an adventure. A 5-hour adventure. We're going to make my Nana and my mother's Italian Sunday sauce. But I've already done this once with the Instant Pot. I'm doing it the real way today. The actual full recipe from my mom with 2 tweaks. I made 2 little tweaks to her recipe. I'm sorry, Mom. We're going to do it the long way. It's going to take about 5 hours. It's not difficult, but it's a process. The first thing we're going to have to do is we have to crush the tomatoes. And I'm using some San Marzano tomatoes. And then other than that, we got some spices. I got my sausage. I have my Italian meatballs that I made up using my Italian meatball recipe. I'll throw that link up above. But first things first, we need to crush the tomatoes by hand. Okay, the recipe calls for 2 cans of tomatoes. These are 28-ounce cans. And you kind of got to do this by hand. So I buy the whole tomatoes and then I crush them. But if you crush them like this, just out above, it pops and it makes a mess. So what I do is I submerge my hand inside the sauce and then I crush down in there. No pops, no mess. And you're just trying to break up the tomatoes. Messy, but worth it. And we're gonna just set this aside for now. The next step in the recipe is you gotta cook the sausage first. Sausage and meatballs, but I always do the sausage first. So I'm using my little induction cooker, which I've also done a review of. Throw a link up. And I do this over like a medium heat. A little bit of olive oil. And we're just gonna let that come up to temp. And then we're gonna brown the Italian sausage. I'm using a mild Italian sausage. And you're just trying to get some nice color on it, because that's gonna then go in the pot with the tomatoes. We got a little bit of heat going in the pan, so we're gonna go ahead and start these off. These induction cooktops, they heat up fast. Now that these have some nice color on them, that's all you're going for is a little bit of color. We're gonna set them aside and cook our meatballs. Normally, if you weren't filming a video, I would have 2 burners going and I'd have the crushed tomatoes on the pot. Makes no sense. The crushed tomatoes in the pot on one burner, kind of simmering, and then the sausage would go right in there first. But I'm trying to show you guys everything, so I'm just using this one burner, so we'll set it aside for now. Pan should be back to heat it up. And we are gonna fry up some meatballs. Oil. These are 2-ounce meatballs, and that's one of the tricks to making meatballs in a sauce like this to come out perfectly. Make them all the same size. You make them all the same size, they're gonna cook at the same rate, and you're not gonna have some that are underdone and some that are overdone. I love this smell. It just reminds me of a home and growing up and the house smelling like this the whole day when they would cook this. You could do this all in one pan if you felt like it. You could crush the tomatoes, set them aside, take that big pot that I have. You could fry your meatballs, your sausage, everything in that one pot, and then put it together if you want a little bit easier cleanup. Yeah, there we go. That's ready to release. These are almost done. We're just going for some color. Now, these are going to get set aside in the fridge for about 3 hours, because that's how long it takes the sausage to cook. And the sausage goes in the pot first. If you tried to cook the meatballs at the same time as the sausage, they would be nothing. All right, here's my variation from my mom's recipe. I use real minced garlic in addition to the garlic powder that we use. The next step is to put in your cans of tomato paste. Now this is a tip I found online. I don't know if it works. I've never tried it, but they say to open both ends of the tomato paste. And you can push it out like a push pop. Now I can only do this with one can because we need the other can to fill with water. I'm having a hard time opening the bottom because I think it's a rounded edge. Pass bracket. That is a fail. We cannot do that on this thing. So we're gonna go old school. Spoon. Don't believe everything you see on the internet. And now my mom's instructions for this tomato paste is to cook it till it's almost burnt. Now we're just gonna get all those bits from when we cook the meatballs and the sausage and all that goodness here in the pan. And we're gonna cook it down. Kind of spread it flat. Let it cook for a little bit. All right, I think we're gonna be good there. Yeah. We got that texture we're looking for, a little bit of burn on the bottom. And then 1 can of water in the can of tomato paste. And that's gonna basically kind of deglaze the pan and make sure you get all that good stuff out of there. Scrape the bottom. You can actually turn the heat off at this point. Take your tomato sauce, or your tomatoes, your crushed tomatoes, add them to the burner. And now you're gonna scoop all of this awesome tomato paste into the sauce. We've added our tomato paste. We're gonna give it a stir. Mix everything in together. And now I have ½ a teaspoon of onion powder, a tablespoon of garlic powder, and that's just gonna go right in here. And then you're gonna adjust this seasoning throughout the whole time. I've got about a tablespoon of salt, and I'll do a couple of turns of fresh black pepper, not too much. Make sure it's all nice and mixed. And do you see that wonderful dark red color? That's due to the tomato paste. And in go the sausage. Here is the other variation I make on my mom's recipe. I like to add a little bit of basil. This is about a tablespoon. We've got sausage in there. We've got our seasoning in there. We're ready to go. The next thing to do is to simmer this on super low for exactly 3 hours. Then, after that 3 hours is up, then we'll put the meatballs in. If you put the meatballs in at the same time as the sausage, they're going to turn to dust. Nothing. It'll just be meat sauce. An important thing to remember is to get a nice heavy bottom. Ow! Don't touch a hot pan. Is to get a nice heavy bottom pan and stir constantly. I'm talking like every 15 to 30 minutes so you don't get burned on the bottom. If it burns on the bottom of the sauce, it kind of seeps through the whole sauce and it'll ruin the entire pot. I may have done it 1 or 2 times. I almost forgot to mention, for this 3-hour simmer, lid. You're going to use the lid, and this is going to keep it from reducing down too much. It also kind of steams the sausage a little bit to help it soften. All right, see you in 3 hours. Welcome back. It is about 3 hours later. Actually, it is exactly 3 hours later. And this little sucker has been going covered, stirred constantly with the sausage in the sauce. We'll go ahead and take this off. So as you can see, the sausage there is a little jiggly still. It's not quite ready yet. It still has another 2 hours before that sausage is like fall apart tender. So now we just have to go ahead and put the meatballs in. And then it goes uncovered, once again, really low for another 2 hours. And then this thing will be adjust your seasoning, add any extra salt, pepper, garlic powder, anything you want to adjust seasoning. And you're pretty much ready to serve over pasta. Let's get the meatballs that have been chilling in the fridge in this sauce. See, in about 2 hours. Alexa, set a timer for 2 hours.
2 hours, starting now.
Alexa just beeped at me. It's just about 5 o'clock.
So this thing is ready. Alexa, stop. She always talks to me when you say her name. Annoying. But the digital assistant has beeped at me. And this thing is done. I will show you a little bit here. And this is what happens when you cook this all the way. Watch the sausage. The sausage just breaks apart. Perfect. And then a lot of people could have problems, but the meatballs hold up. They're still solid, no problem. And this thing is a wonderfully chunky, thick sauce. I'm boiling some pasta now. I got some thin spaghetti because it's the kiddo's favorite. And that's what we're going to serve this over. But first thing to do is I need to taste it to make sure that the seasoning is right. That's it. I don't need to do anything else. I didn't show you guys, but at one point in time, I put a dash more of salt in when I swapped out and did the meatballs. So this has that initial tablespoon of salt and maybe another teaspoon of salt that I've added, but that's it. I'm gonna give you guys a good close look at what's here in the pot. And then we're gonna plate up and eat. You guys know, even when it takes me 5 hours to make a dish that reminds me of my mother, and I just love, Dad doesn't do outros. So that's it.
For more fun and easy recipes, visit dadgotthis.com.
Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the damn bell.
I double dog dare you.
Come on, you have to do it. It was a double dog dare. I mean, those are the rules.